Morning Talk with Siki Mgabadeli.
On SAFM 104 to 107, and this morning broadcasting live from the Christ the King Anglican Church in Safa town, commemorating, as I said, a number of events. And this morning, of course, starting off with the 99th birthday celebration for the late Father Trevor Huddleston. He would have been 99 years old today, and that's on the 15th of June. He died on April 20th, 1998 at the age of 84, serving in this very church for 13 years, playing a very influential role in the lives of the residents of Safa town. But as we said earlier, he really helped to found Britain's anti-apartheid movement in 1959, leading its campaigns for sanctions against the apartheid government, also knighted for the work that he has done. We joined now as well by Jeremy Tomlinson, who has just retired as registrar at Lansing College, but is still secretary of the Friends of Lansing Chapel, and talking to us about Father Trevor Huddleston as well. Jeremy, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Hello, yes. It's very nice to be here.
Fantastic. And I understand that there will be some events taking place in the UK as well today. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, I'm not sure about other events in the UK. I mean, I think in Bedford, where Trevor was born, they commemorate him every year. And he, so far as Lansing College, the school which I worked at and where he was a pupil, is concerned, of course, we remember him on a very regular basis because he is one of our most distinguished and most valued former pupils.
And in what ways would you say that he's really lifted the name, firstly, I suppose, of the school, but also just the name of his calling, and that is being a priest?
Well, I was privileged to know Father Trevor a bit, and obviously he's a great deal older than me. I heard him preaching in the 1960s when he was going around England raising awareness of the anti-apartheid campaign. And I heard him speak at the school to pupils on a number of occasions, including fairly late in his life. And I think, as everybody knows, he was an absolutely fearless and very committed Christian who knew in his heart what was right and wrong, and was not afraid to say so. And he was politically, in one sense, he was politically motivated, but he was also above politics, and believed very much in the power of good, and he was not afraid to say what he thought about not only difficulties in South Africa, but also in England when he was a bishop in South London and had been a priest in very poor parishes here, and his mission there is still reflected in what happens today.
And that you would say...
He was, to us, he is an absolutely iconic figure in terms of somebody who said what he felt and who stood up for what was just and right.
And we need more and more of that today. I'm sure you would say that people live up to their principles, but also speak out when they see an injustice. Would you say that that's his greatest legacy?
I suppose it is. I mean, I think he's obviously best known everywhere as somebody who aroused the awareness of the apartheid situation and of poverty and injustice in South Africa. And
oh dear. Jeremy, are you still with me? Jeremy, are you still with me? It looks like we might have lost Jeremy Tomlinson. We'll see if we can pick him up again and get him on the line to talk a little bit more about the work that Father Huddleston did in the UK. As you heard, of course, he attended Lansing College, and that's the school that he attended. Jeremy Tomlinson is still secretary of the Friends of Lansing Chapel. And as you heard, not only here in South Africa is Father Huddleston being commemorated, but also also his birthplace in Bedford. They have an event every year. But we'll hear from you as well. You can call us on 0891104207. SMSs 34701. What stands out for me is what everybody's been saying about Father Huddleston, that when he saw an injustice, he spoke out. Never let that stop him at all. Never let anyone stop him from saying what he felt needed to be done when it needed to be done. Described by a little bit earlier by Tata Jonas Gwangwa as a great fighter, a hard worker, a compassionate person, a patient man, a loving man, but also very strict. Here are some of your SMSs sent through to 34701. Sianda Guaduguza says, Father Huddleston, ORAJNR are pillars. They made our struggle a moral revolution. They still inspire us to confront corruption in the corridors of power. Ste in KZN says, Siki Father Huddleston belongs to that league of freedom fighters. This country wouldn't have made it without the help of these whites who couldn't ignore us. John in the Western Cape says, my faith in humanity is restored when I hear about Trevor Huddleston. Our current leaders, especially JZ, destroy your faith. And someone says, was apartheid directed only to ANC activists? Why then are we bombarded with ANC apartheid freedom fighters and no other anti-apartheid South African heroes? And I'm sure that you can't mean this program does that. I can give you a whole list of other non-ANC aligned heroes that we have celebrated on this show. Biko, Robert Sobukwe, the list goes on. So that's if we're going to criticize something, let's rather have it as constructive criticism and also base it on the truth. Looks like we've got Jeremy Tomlinson back on the line. Jeremy, back with me?
Hello, yes, I'm with you.
Hi, sorry, I don't know what happened there, but we were busy talking about what it's always very difficult to ask the question about legacy because everybody experiences an individual differently, but there are some commonalities in what he did in his life.
Yes, I think everywhere. The thing about Father Huddleston is that he was, and his school record shows this, a highly intelligent, cultivated, athletic, musical, as you know, his influence on music as famous musicians in South Africa and so on. But he was a cultivated person from quite a well-to-do background. His father was an army officer, who gave up everything and could have had all sorts of other very lucrative careers, but he gave up everything, first of all becoming a priest and then becoming a monk within the Anglican tradition, and being, in order to devote his entire life to the welfare of others. And so he can be held up. I mean, to call somebody a saint is a very, contentious thing, and I don't think he would have wanted to feel like that, and he was a very human individual, but he clearly devoted his life to the Christian mission, and he saw things in 20th century society here and in other parts of the world, particularly in Africa, which he really felt needed to be addressed. And unlike a lot of politicians and a lot of other people who might privately have said, we don't approve of what's going on, he was prepared to stand up and I think put himself at risk and be counted. And obviously people like Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu and others admired him enormously because he was relating to their cause.
Yeah.
And we had this wonderful event here 4 years ago when we dedicated a window in memory of Father Huddleston in our chapel.
Yeah.
Beautiful chapel here, and we felt we wanted a permanent reminder of Trevor. And Desmond Tutu came all the way here to Sussex to dedicate that window and preached a wonderful sermon, absolutely just wonderful. It was a marvellous occasion. And that, I think, you couldn't have a greater testimony to the respect that Father Huddleston was held in internationally. And so our people are aware, that he is one of our most important former peoples, and we remember that.
You're listening to...
You talk about legacy. Well, things have got better. Hopefully in South Africa we're very well aware that there's more to do, and of course here in England the sort of divisions of wealth in society, which she was trying to call people's attention to, sadly are still there, and there's still more to be done. And we try to encourage our pupils to engage with work in terms of trying to improve social conditions.
You're listening to SAFM, South Africa's news and information leader, talking about Father Trevor Huddleston this morning. We're broadcasting live from the Christ the King Anglican Church in Safa Town. You can call us on 08 91 104 207. SMS is 34701. Dr. Mbecha, we're talking about his legacy. And I was saying to Jeremy Tomlinson now that it's very difficult because each of us will experience one individual differently, but there are obviously some commonalities and things that were at the core of Father Huddleston. What would you say his legacy was?
I think his legacy is about care of people. He was very empathetic, and he sympathized and wanted to do a lot for the poor. And of course, that's what I got from him. And of course, he believed in excellence. Whatever you do, you should do it thoroughly. That's why I had to stay with him for my postgraduate work, and he insisted on perfection, and a love to God. He's a Christian par excellence. We pray every moment. When I lived with him, every moment we met in the corridor. He would insist on my grace, whether I do believe as much as he does, whether I do care for the people, what will be my duties when I go back to South Africa. Because I was first resistant to come back to home because I was involved with so many other people outside the country, in London and in East Africa, and I was suspecting that I'll be nabbed when I come back home. But he is the one who said to me that your people need you more than the struggle at home. Your people, you must go back, and as a specialist, you are sort of you'll encourage other people to follow your path.
Yeah.
And indeed, I came back. Of course, when I first came here, I was nabbed, taken to John Foster for 2 days, and was questioned about grilled about my association with many other leadership of the struggle, even about Father Huddleston. But I was let free, and I'm glad to say I came back, because after I came back, lots of young doctors saw the need for specialization. It was not fashionable for black doctors to go specialist. As soon as they qualified, they went to make money in private practice. And I want to believe I was like an inspiration. They saw that this can be done. A black person can run a hospital. I was rejected by Baragwanath first. They gave me a specialist position. They say I couldn't give instructions to white doctors because they're not specialists. I couldn't get a job. And later I was invited back and I started teaching. And, what I did appreciate is that white students, in spite of some of their stereotypes, when they see a quality of the man, quality of what you teach up, they start respecting you. I had lots of respect from the young medical students. I think in 1979 I was voted among the best clinical teachers, 1979, by the Medical Students Council. That's where I come from.
And that's the hard
inspired
work.
by
Yeah.
Trevor Huddleston to perfect whatever you do.
All right. We're going to take a call in a moment.
Morning Talk with Siki Mgabadeli.
And we're wrapping up our conversation with Jeremy Tomlinson and Dr. Mbekhe. Before that, let's take a call from Tsepo. I understand you just outside the church here in Sophia Town, Tsepo. Good morning.
I want first to congratulate and take, I think, a personal talk, not Dr. Mbekhe outside this. But my submission was around the issue and chronology of events around the Sophia Town. Do we have, by chance, maybe through one of your guests in the studio, someone who can assist us to get the full documentation of the history of Sophia Town?
All right, I'll find out. Thank you. Thanks to Tsepo, that's Tsepo just outside the church here in Sophia Town. No, there's a lot of Dr. Mbekhe, there's a lot of writings about Father Huddleston out there, but I think he's supposed, but also about Sophia Town. Many different books, but I suppose he wants a comprehensive one that he can find, and to maybe read that and talk about that. But we'll do that in a moment. Let's just take one more call from Judy in Hermanus. Hi, Judy.
Hello, Ziggy.
Hi.
Good morning. I just wanted to fill in a little bit of history on him. I date back to school in the mid-1940s, and he was our school chaplain.
Oh,
he was at that stage still just a fairly recent arrival, I would guess, in this country. And I got the first education of how other people lived, coming from a rather privileged school. And we used to be taken sometimes, all organized by Father Huddleston, to, I can't remember whether it was Orlando or Sophia Town, to his church there, where on Sunday Eucharists.
Yeah.
And hearing all about him now has moved me enormously, because there he was right at the beginning of my life as a great influence.
Thank you very much for sharing that. And which school was that, Judy? Is Judy still there? All right, I think we might have lost Judy. Jeremy, are you still with me?
Yes.
Oh, just wanted to make sure. All right, so, I mean,
Absolutely.
Judy, they're talking about the influence that he had on her when she was still in school. And that's interesting, because everyone you talk to, there's a different story about what he did for them at the different times and different places that he was at. I understand there's also a Huddleston Centre in Hackney that's been delivering youth provision for disabled young people.
Well, I think that, I mean, your caller was talking about being influenced at school. Of course, Trevor went to South Africa in 1943, so that's when he started as a parish priest there. And he certainly was very concerned about youth. And as I said earlier, my first encounter with him was when I was a student, before I even came to Lansing, and he was going around the country here inspiring young people to stand up for what they believed, from obviously a Christian basis, but with a much broader kind of morality. And he was one of those people where, if you heard him speak, it made you feel you wanted to do something. He was very inspirational. I mean, I think that the spirit was very much present in him, and he was very articulate and so committed, and you couldn't resist being sort of influenced by him and inspired by him. And that's what your previous speaker was saying. And I think a lot of people in England felt that. Though, of course, his real fame has been in Africa, because that's where clearly he had the biggest impact.
All right.
But yes, an inspirational and profoundly religious person. But as I said before, and also a highly intelligent man who knew exactly what he was doing and how to deal with politicians.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks to Jeremy Tomlinson. And very quickly, Dr. Mbekhe, for someone like Tsepo who wants a book or information, the history of Sophia Town. I mean, obviously, you're a walking encyclopedia on Sophia Town, but what could he do?
There's lots of books about Safa Town. Lots of people have written about Safa Town. So Safa was like the beginning of. There was a Freedom Square here. A lot of political organizations used to come there. We were young boys and trying to get information about the politics of this country. My father was quite active. He was in the unity movement, and we used to move. Used to cyclostyle some papers, and he moved around house to house, and provide information to different communities or different families about what is happening. So I got politicized at an early age, and of course, as I grew up, I got involved, and one of the reasons why I left was because the net was closing down on me. Everybody around me was getting arrested, and our people are not worried why I'm not arrested, so I had to leave.
All right. I'll see if I can get some books for you, Tepa, and I'll let you know what to look for. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much
for your time this morning. This morning.